The state of West Virginia has had its share of strange sightings. Strange events such as the visitation of the Flatwoods Monster and Indrid Cold. But perhaps the strangest yet is the arrival of a creature known as Mothman, who changed the sleepy little town of Point Pleasant forever when it swooped in one cold autumn night in 1966. Today, Mothman is one of the most well-known cryptids in the world, made famous partly by John Neal's book, later adapted into a film. The first recorded Mothman sighting took place on November 12, 1966, near Clarendon, West Virginia. 5 men were in the cemetery preparing a grave for burial when they saw something that they could not explain. Lifting off from a nearby group of trees was a brown, winged creature. The men held to the fact that what lifted off the ground was not a bird. It was a humanoid. The creature was sighted in many places across West Virginia and the surrounding states, but the largest number of sightings happened near the old West Virginia Ordnance Works, an area known to locals as the TNT area. An igloo in the TNT area was built thick to prevent a chain explosion from the barrel of gunpowder inside. West Virginia Ordnance Works is an abandoned visitation to the north of Point Pleasant, West Virginia, that dates back to the World War II. The facility during this operation manufactured ammunition and dynamite. The surrounding area is mostly forest, dotted with numerous grassy clearings and thick concrete domes called igloos that were used to store barrels of gunpowder. The area is also riddled with abandoned tunnels, most of which have collapsed, been off-seal, or become flooded with water. A wildlife sanctuary now encompasses the area. In 1979, a fisherman in the TNT area reported that chemicals had been left to seep into the pond, causing it to be labeled as an environmental disaster. By the 1980s, the TNT area was among the country's most polluted sites. It was here in the TNT area on a cold night in November 15th, 1966, 3 days after the first sighting took place, that 2 young couples would encounter this bizarre creature. Roger and Linda Scranberry were driving in Rogers 57 Bel Air with Steve and Mary Millette through the area around midnight when Linda noticed, unbelievably, 2 large glowing red eyes in the darkness between the old North Power Plant, and she screamed. They soon learned that the eyes belonged to something that was frankly not human. It was around 7 feet tall, with wings folded against its back. Roger stalled in the road for a minute to inspect the strange creature. The 4 realized immediately that their spectacle was no ordinary bird. When the creature spread its wings and pursued them down the highway, it exceeded over 100 miles per hour. After the 4 had arrived in town, eventually they decided that what they saw was nothing more than an adherent bird. And in an attempt to face their fears, they again drove towards the TNT area. It wasn't long before they saw the creature again, apparently waiting for them beside Route 62. The couples realized now that the stalker was no bird, but in the instant that the car's headlights landed on the creature, it lifted off the ground. into the air with tremendous speed and disappeared over the tree line. This time, when they appeared in town, they went to the Mason County courthouse and told the story. 2 hours later, city police began investigating the area, only to return empty-handed. The next day, a press conference was held, and the local press began printing on the story, causing others to come forward with previous and future sightings. This was the major event that started it all. In the Point Pleasant Register, a local newspaper would be brought to everybody's attention with the headline, "Couple sees man-sized bird, creature, something." This creature would be seen throughout the next 13 months in Point Pleasant, and it was estimated that there were over 100 sightings within this time period. Mothman witnesses were also said to be harassed by men in black who wanted them to not speak about the creature. The strange sightings all seemed to culminate in the collapse of the Silver Bridge on December 15th, 1967. There are many similar cryptids and creatures that have been seen worldwide. The sightings are similar to Mothman in many ways, including the fact that most of them seem to be heralds of impending disaster. Some believe that Mothman tries to warn people about disasters about to happen, such as Frontberg and Chernobyl, since there only seems to be one Mothman instead of a bunch of his kind, and since he seems to be rather paranormal. These sightings are not of much interest to cryptozoologists who want to discover new kinds of animals. The description. Mothman is described as a bipedal, winged humanoid. Despite his name, which was given to him by newspapers, he is in no way moth-like, and has more of a large owl humanoid type appearance. His coloration varies from black, gray, and even brown, although it is usually the darker shades. He is often reported as being about 7 feet tall, with a wingspan that is 10 to 15 feet or more, plus the ability to fly over 100 miles per hour. Sometimes he's described as not having a head or having just 2 huge red eyes in his chest. These eyes were reported to glow, or at least reflect. The details of his face and his feet have never been adequately described. One witness who saw the face clearly could only say the details were horrible and monstrous. She had terrible nightmares and nearly suffered a nervous breakdown. It seems that anyone who gets a close look at Mothman seems to suffer from extreme fear and psychological distress, sometimes lasting for months or years. He can fold his wings and walk with a weird shuffle that many witnesses compared to a penguin. When he flies, he unfolds his wings and shoots straight up with great speed and levels out to go wherever he wants to go. He is rarely observed flapping. Witnesses often describe his flight pattern as straight up, like a helicopter. He can fly much faster than any bird should be able to fly, as measured by these victims who suffered from what seems to be Mothman's favorite activity, chasing cars. He'd fly in front of them, and then even sometimes hit at the road. Some believe that Mothman may be an angel or a demon. The more likely assumptions, however, like a normal barn owl, have been proposed, such as the fact that the original sighting seems to fit that interpretation. But the Mothman has done wonders for tourism to West Virginia. They even have a Mothman Festival that started in 2002 and is held on the third weekend of every September in downtown Point Pleasant, West Virginia. It is located next to the Mothman Museum and the Mothman statue. The festival features a wide variety of vendors, guest speakers, and live music, food, and events for all ages. People from all over the world come to experience the unique atmosphere and learn about the Mothman. I will leave this up to you. Is this a myth? Or is there really an unidentified moth-like creature flying in West Virginia?